and welcome to the Four Horsemen, the Fantasy Podcast. Just want the music to serenade and marinate.
Yeah, why'd you go so early, man? Let it go.
Pork chops in a Ziploc bag when you throw adobo and sazon.
Look, I know we have a lot to talk about, but I mean, just gotta listen to it a little bit longer
No,
than that.
bring it back up a little bit.
There we go.
For God's sake, get on with it, man.
Jack is so antsy, but I don't care because that guitar riff can't be beat. Welcome to another rousing rendition of the Fantasy Four Horsemen podcast. I am Karlos, that is Karlos with a K. I got with me Jack, I got with me Gil, and I have with me Nick. And here we are again, we're another wacky week of injuries in the NFL. And this
Can you call it wacky?
it's just, they're not even freak injuries. It's like you see them coming a mile away with some of these guys. So obviously, if you're a frustrated owner like I am that probably has one of these first round picks that's just completely busted on you, we're going to try to save you and get you in time for the fantasy playoffs. I mean, some of you have no hope, but you're listening to us, so you'll be better equipped for next season. Mm-hmm. And those of you who are like me that are on the cusp and fighting for the playoff lives, or trying to fight off Nick for a first round bye.
That's right, baby. That's right. I'm coming back.
We're gonna give you what you need.
Nick, I'm still in this fight.
No, you are right there too. But
man.
Carlos is going down pretty quick.
What is that? 4-game losing streak for me.
Yep.
And another week where I'm 1-4 in my leagues. Maybe our listeners should not be listening to me, and I should just take the rest of the show off. But I promise I know what I'm talking about.
I just want to add this. We could cut this out in post if we really don't want it to be there. But earlier today, Nick thought it was a good time to talk some smack, right?
I know where this is going.
Oh, yeah. No, we're leaving this in.
Yeah, so let me add, I wish we could, I have it on screenshot. So if we really want to put this in post, it was so funny. So Nick just goes, hey, Karlos, I'm coming for that second seed. Karlos said,
that was my immediate response.
Yeah, Karlos' immediate response was just pause.
That was just out of context, but
we need to put someone put in the sound effect of the guy just going, hey, yo. Perfect.
So now that we got that little bit of debauchery out of the way, we're gonna just obviously let's recap the news that of the injuries that happened over the weekend. But actually, Nick brought up an injury that just happened right now, and there is a new quarterback in New York.
it's not as big. I mean, whatever, the Giants suck, but Mike Glennon's going to be the starting quarterback this week. Daniel Jones is out. What is a neck injury now? Mm-hmm. I mean,
he probably hurt his neck looking at Jalen Hurts throwing that interception like, hey, I could do that.
Yeah. He's like, oh, man, let me follow after him. But no, now it's going to be him going against, and now Jones is considered week to week. But I don't think it makes any big of a deal. I mean, where are the Giants going to go?
Is there anybody in the Giants that you guys are worth starting?
I mean, we'll get onto this later, I think, because I've got a guy I think who's worth picking up later on.
I mean,
just for the name,
Saquon.
Yeah, just for the name,
you know
Saquon. But at this point,
I don't even know if he's starting anymore.
Are we talking about Saquon, the guy who rushed 12 times for 8 yards outside of that 32-yard rush this week?
And I said this last week. I don't want to see him grab the ball and start juking immediately. He's trying to
who's
make
better
a move.
than him? Devontae Booker.
Devontae Booker's a more efficient back.
Devontae Booker is hitting the gaps. Like it's brutal.
Put your head down, get 2-3 yards, be satisfied with that. Let me see second and 7, as opposed to freaking 2nd and 12 each time.
Yeah, it's
but
brutal.
I digress. So yeah, Daniel Jones is not going to play. Giants fans are crying in their beers. Dalvin Cook, obviously, that's a big injury for that happened over the weekend.
Oh yeah, that's massive.
pick up Madison.
I'm one of the foolish Dalvin Cook owners that didn't have him Madison, so I'm crying about it. The guy that has him, I've been trying to trade for him all year. He won't relent, and now he looks like a genius. But supposedly, Dalvin Cook is only going to be out for a week or two. Do you guys see a world where he comes back within that time frame?
No, I'm going to be very firm with this. They're looking to contend for the playoffs, correct? I don't see there any reason to rush it. Because this happened 2 years ago, right? Where he got hurt late in the season, and they decided to rest him in hopes for a good playoff run and forego the idea of a home field advantage, which worked out for them totally fine because they ended up beating the Saints in New Orleans, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
And I don't see why they wouldn't do the same thing now. They actually have. It's not like the weapons really changed much. Obviously, we replaced Stephon Diggs with Justin Jefferson, which obviously isn't really anything crazy. Other than that, I don't see a need to rush him back. As fantasy owners, I'm one of the few that don't own him across like all my leagues. So I don't understand obviously the pain as much as others do. However, I'm not worried. I'm worried for the Cook owners. I'm not worried for the Vikings.
Am I crazy to say this, that the Vikings are the worst team in the NFL? Like, they have always contended, but they've always found ways to lose games, and that's why their record doesn't show it.
They're like the Chargers, where they'll lose 1-2 point games easier than
they're
else.
in it against these big teams, but they just can't finish games. Like, I was surprised they even beat the Packers 2 weeks ago.
I fully expected Rodgers to win that game.
Yeah,
no, that was ridiculous.
They started the season 0-3, and their cumulative points that they lost by over those 3 games was 7.
exactly.
And Kirk Cousins is playing efficient
He's playing
ball.
great.
He's playing
which is
efficient
crazy.
ball.
I mean, besides the play where he goes under the wrong snap. You saw that, right? Where he's he going behind the wrong center there.
That was Madison that told him you're not behind the center.
Hey man, the ball's here, you're here.
Let Cousins cook.
Yeah.
I think with Madison, I own him in our league because I'm a Cook owner, so I'm glad I did. I secured that. I think he's got 2 huge matchups against Detroit. The 2 games that Madison has started this year. He was the RB7 in week 3, and he was the RB6 in week 5. And now he's playing the Detroit Lions, who are giving up the 4th most. They're giving up 21.2 points in PPR to running back. So he's an absolute must-start, top 10 option this week. And then he's got Pittsburgh next week, who aren't the formidable run defense that they used to be anymore. They're giving up more on the ground. Joe Mixon just torched them this week.
They got shellacked.
So if he plays those 2 weeks, he could be a huge option for the Minnesota Vikings. Yeah, I love Madison.
Yeah, I love him too. I just wish I had him. Another big injury that happened over the weekend was Deebo Samuel for the 49ers.
That one's huge.
It's huge for owners because he's essentially been your first-round receiver, and you've gotten him at a late-round flyer because there were a lot of leagues that Ayuk went over Samuel. So I'm a little concerned if I'm a Deebo Samuel owner because you're not going to be able to replace that production from anybody on the waiver wire or within that team. Maybe Ayuk gets a little bit more production, but I see Kittle eating a lot more.
Yeah.
But groin injuries, especially with Samuel, they tend to linger. This is not the first time he's had it.
I have something for you guys. Guess how many catches Deebo Samuel had the last 2 weeks?
I think it was 5, no?
How many?
Guess. I want you to go.
I'm going to say...
I feel like he catches everything. No, you know what? I agree with Gil. I think it's going to be something low because he rushes the ball so much now.
No, that's what I'm saying.
6 or 7.
I'm going to say 5.
It was 2.
Jesus.
Oh!
He caught 2 catches for 27 yards this last 2 weeks. He has 14 rushes for 145 yards and 3 touchdowns.
3 touchdowns, yeah.
He's a wide receiver 9, and he caught 2 balls this week. Debo is a cheat code. He should have the same tag as Cordarrelle Patterson.
That's what I was just about to say. Why isn't he getting the same credit here?
I missed this last week with Jack not here. I miss these little nuggets that Jack's
he's got an
throwing
awesome
in.
schedule. This is what I love. He plays Seattle, Cincinnati, Atlanta, Tennessee, Houston, and so then you look at that.
5 of his teams are out of it already.
Exactly. So you look at that and you're like, Ayuk and Kittle could eat. But then at the same time, I'm like, the targets weren't going to him the last 2 weeks anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of wondering where it's going to go. Juwan Jennings caught a touchdown this week. He could be worth an ad if you're in a deep league, but maybe. But
Elijah Mitchell
I'm only saying that because Ayuk and
Elijah
Kittle
Mitchell.
are already owned. Elijah Mitchell's going to eat. Yeah, maybe Jeff Wilson will get put into the offense a little more. We'll see.
I dropped him. So watch out. He's going to blow up now. Last 2 injuries for me. DeAndre Swift, little minor one, shoulder stinger. Maybe misses a game.
He'll miss a game
too.
Yeah.
So we'll get into the next part of it where I think you can get some production out of that.
He's officially day-to-day, isn't he?
He's a day-to-day by Dan Campbell.
They said he has a long shot to play today. That's what
He's not playing this week. I know that.
But I think next week
he'll be on track for it.
And then the last one is a season ender, which unfortunately I kind of called. If you listen to this show regularly, Mr. Glass, I mean Christian McCaffrey of the Carolina Panthers.
Wait, I need to interject with something. I don't mean to keep doing this, but I ran into a tweet trying to find the news earlier before the news actually broke, and somebody legit tweeted, Christian McCaffrey's body is made out of iPhone charger cables.
Okay.
It's just
that's pretty good.
It's frail. It breaks after enough time,
So the reason why we wanted to run down the injury list, if you don't get ESPN or Yahoo alerts or something, which you're wrong, if you're an avid fantasy player, you should have those things on. And no, we're not sponsored by them yet. But the injuries are important because what do? You gotta scour the waiver wire, right? Most leagues, the trade deadlines have come and gone, so your friend is the waiver wire, and that's it.
Mine's tomorrow, guys, in 2 of my leagues.
Well,
so.
your league is weird. So
I have one more that I want to mention quickly as well, because we're talking about big running backs here. Darrell Henderson is also questionable this week.
Sonny Michel is getting a lot of picked up.
And Sonny Michel is like worth an ad in deeper leagues. He's only 28% owned, and they're playing Jacksonville. So, I think, I know Henderson seems to be questioned every week. He seems to have a play every single week where he goes out of the game. But I think Sonny Michel, if Henderson does sit, like Sonny Michel is an RB2, and you can start him. So I'm saying there's 2 weeks left. For the most part, there's 2 weeks left until you can make your playoffs. If you want to stream a player, because you have to, because you have Nick Chubb who's on bye or something, you go and stream Sonny Michel. That's if you don't get maybe Alexander Mattison or Jamal Williams.
So it's a perfect segue for our next topic, and kind of the main topic of what we're having in today's episode is we want to give you a player that has the best fantasy schedule for the playoffs, and also one from the worst. But here's the qualifier, because we did something similar last week if you were listening to us, and you did because you're listening to us now. They can't be rostered more than 50% in Yahoo or ESPN leagues. Mm-hmm. So we're not talking about, Alvin Kamara's got the best schedule, which he doesn't. I looked at the schedule. We're looking for someone, your chances are you're looking for a fill-in bye week. You're looking for a player to replace someone that got hurt. So I'm going to go with the best options you have for fantasy for fantasy playoffs, rather, in terms of their schedule. Feel free, gentlemen. Lead off. Who do you got? Throw them out there.
All right, boys. I think I'll just go because let me take it.
I agree with your one,
here.
so you go.
Let me take it. Let me take it right here,
Look
boys.
at you asserting yourself today.
Yeah.
I'm so proud of you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. I'm starting to start up a little bit here and there, but a guy that I actually just saw last night who finally came off the IR, Logan Thomas. 51% owned. I know we said 50%.
62% in Yahoo.
I'll let the 1% up.
51 in ESPN.
I'm dropping him in it. Yeah.
Just grab him. Guys, look, I mean, I think he's got a great schedule coming up. Taylor Heineke loves to throw to him. He had a lot of targets. He had, 6 targets, 7 targets last game. And he even dropped a touchdown on 4th down. He looks like he's a part of that offense, even though Curtis Samuel and what's it called?
McLaurin
and McLaurin are there.
Terry.
And even Antonio Gibson got a lot of receptions last night too. So
Gibson had a great game, finally.
Yeah.
And Logan Thomas, if he scored that touchdown last night, everyone would be rushing to the waiver wire to get him, because he wouldn't have had 6.6 PPR points. He would have had like 13, 14, and that's what you want. And this week he's playing Las Vegas, who just gave up Dalton Schultz, a 15-point PPR game to Dalton Schultz. And then he's got Philly, Dallas, who don't have... Philly is the worst tight end defense in the league. So I love Logan Thomas. And I think you cheated to getting him, because I also had him down too. I'll transition to me quickly. This is going to be a quick one for me, but it's Kadarius Toney. Now, I know he's frustrated managers this year. And I think the reason he's 47% owned in Yahoo, so this has also toned the line a little bit. The reason he's frustrated owners is because a lot of people picked him up after he had those big weeks. But that's what you're looking for in these playoff scenarios. You're looking for a guy who can win you your week. He scored 30 fantasy points one week and he had 190 yards. He's playing against Miami. He does have a couple of hard matchups. He's playing against Miami, the Chargers. The one thing I'll say, Gil's a Chargers fan, the Chargers, they don't have the most amazing secondary. The thing is, they have a run funnel defense, which I think is why they look bad on paper. Like, they don't give up much to the pass, I think. And I think that's why they look worse. But I don't think that's the most terrible matchup. And then Dallas, Philly, Chicago. Like, I think he has a really nice end-of-season schedule. And you could scoop him up and maybe play him if you're projected a lot less than a player. And you're like, right, what could I do? Let me put in someone who could score 20 in the week. I think Kadarius Toney is a great option.
That's a valid choice. The thing with the Chargers defense is like you said, it doesn't look good on paper, and it's you got to attribute that to a lot of things. One, Staley's new at the job, and that he's still implementing a lot of the defensive systems that he's had in previous tenures. On top of that, they're young. They're very young. Like there's some stars on that, like Asante Samuel Jr. I think he's a stud. But moving forward from that, I'm going to stick to the Chargers, actually. I'm going Jared Cook. because a lot of people don't really. At this point, you should probably have your tight end slot filled out. So you could flex if you're getting really bold with tight end. I thought about people. I originally had a thought on Freiermuth before he got into concussion protocol, but the thing with Freiermuth is I don't even know what his percentage owned.
It's just over 50.
Is it just over 50?
Yeah, so it's kind of close. But people are dropping him.
He's dropping because now he's out for maybe a week or two. So
yeah.
Jared Cook is a good option just to kind of hold if your tight end goes down with an injury or you have a late season bye week. I don't see why it's the bad option, especially if that offense goes pretty well. But if you look at the schedule moving forward, the only issue I see here is Denver. Like we discussed the Chargers schedule last week. Since moving forward, they just took a stupid L to the Broncos, and the Broncos played pretty well.
Yeah.
They play Cincinnati next week, which is somewhere middling with that defense. Then they got the Giants. Then they got into the playoffs. They got Kansas City, Houston, and then Denver again. So at this point, like Karlos said, Denver's not going to really be trying at this point because they're not going to be contending for a playoff spot. They'll they're still in the hunt right now. So I don't really think it's anything crazy to say that he'd have a good run. On top of that, there's been instances where there will be games where you can't get it to Keenan or Eckler or Williams, and he'll dump it off to Cook. And it's happened a lot lately. I've been looking at a lot of times Herbert's been not really looking at his top options, but going to guys like Jalen Guyton and Jaron Cook. So I would look at that more importantly.
So I'm going to kind of throw some notable mentions out there because there was a bunch of people that I did look at. We didn't talk about Darren Waller's injury, so he's going to be out for a week or two, maybe more. Depends on how it lingers and lags. But if you're streaming, Foster Moreau's worth a look. When Foster Moreau got 60 yards and a touchdown that one game that Waller missed, out of nowhere as a game time decision. So that's somebody that you might consider for just this week until you find somebody else at your tight end. I'm kind of cheating a little bit because I think any 49ers running back is someone that you want.
Yeah.
So for all intents and purposes, because I want to go under 50%, Jeff Wilson got dropped a lot the last week because Mitchell has been balling out. But I think if you have the roster space, he's someone you want to try to consider getting into your team. Just as a stash, injuries happen all the time. Mitchell's not 100%. If he were to miss time, that immediately vaults Jeff Wilson up to an RB2 status at the very least, just on volume. DJ Dallas from Seattle Seahawks was somebody I looked at because his schedule's nice. The Bears and the Lions are the last two opponents, but Seattle's going to be completely out of it. I just they can't score points, so it was a notable mention because I don't know if Rashad Penny's going to run away with the job. It's just
even Alex Collins is there too, and he's taking away carries.
They had 10 carries last night.
I like the schedule, but I'm fading everybody from Seattle unless you have Lockett and Metcalf. I don't even know if Wilson's worth starting, depending on who other options.
Everett's been decent too. If you looked at Everett's numbers the last couple of weeks, they've been decent.
He's been getting the touch. I feel like everybody but Metcalf and Lockett have gotten the touch.
Everett's a top 10 tight end over the last 2 weeks. So I will say about Jeff Wilson as well. When Mitchell did sit that one game, he had 20 touches. Yeah. So he didn't do much with them, but you're looking for volume,
Yeah.
New Orleans defense is also another team that I like.
Oh, we talking defenses? I honestly did not give them any.
I'm throwing it out there for notable mentions because the last two opponents they have are the Dolphins and the Panthers.
All right, give me a notable mention here. Taysom Hill. We haven't talked about any quarterbacks here.
You know what? And you convinced me. I'm going to put in a claim.
And the reason is he's 6% owned. If he starts in the 4 starts he had last year, he was a top 12 QB. You know, he was averaging over 50 yards on the ground when he was a starter, and that's 5 points right there. So that he'll get the odd touchdown. If Mark Ingram and Kamara are a little banged up, they're probably more likely to run Taysom Hill on the goal line a little bit maybe. He's playing Dallas and then the Jets. Those are two really good matchups. A couple of them in the actual playoffs are a little harder, but I'm saying if you're maybe just on the fringe and you want to stream a QB for the next 2 weeks, I think Taysom Hill's a great option.
If you could put him in your tight end spot like you could last year, then put him in. But I don't know. He'll be the quarterback this year, most likely.
Yeah. But enough of my notable mentions. I have to give you a name, and I'm going to go a little unconventional. Tua Tagovailoa.
Oh, yeah.
Here's why.
What is percentage rostered right now?
He's 33% on Yahoo.
What?
Because there's a lot of other quarterbacks that you will start over Tua. I started Tua last week against the Jets. It worked out for me because he was able to bang in 2 touchdowns. His numbers aren't impressive. He's got 10 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. But look at his schedule. The Jets, week 15, The Saints, week 16, which I don't know if the Saints are going to have much to play for then. I think they're kind of a fraudulent playoff team. And then the Titans.
Wow.
If you told me in the beginning of the season that's a favorable fantasy playoff schedule, I'd say you're out of your mind because I thought, the Titans, they can't stop anybody in third down, but the Saints should be a good defense, and you figured the Jets were going to be a decent defense because they were last season.
The Saints are a good defense. It's just the problem is their offense is so
They
bad.
can't score.
They can't score, which means if you fall back on the defense enough times, they'll eventually just end up on
And the
their
same
ass.
thing with Tennessee. These two teams, as presently constructed, cannot score. Lots of 3-and-outs or drives that are going to end in field goal attempts.
Right.
Which means the defenses are going to be on the field a lot. They're going to be gassed. And Miami's not a good team. Tua's going to throw so much. I dare say I might have to have him for all 3 weeks.
And he's efficient. He had 87% completion this week. He 27 of 32, and I think over the last 2 weeks he's had over 80% completion. So that's why they're staying on the field because he's not missing his passes. And he has someone like Jalen Waddle who's who's popped off the last few weeks. So it was and he trusts him now. Devontae Parker could be coming back,
And Mike Gesicki's been a viable option too.
So
he's kind of fallen off.
I like that. I like that pick.
So that's who I'm going to go with because I'm quarterback starved in my league. I have Mac Jones as my starter. I think Tua's, if I can pick him and hold him into the playoffs, considering I get to the playoffs, that's a good win for me to go through. So I think we got some pretty good names out there. When we get back on the other side of the break, because we have to rest our tonsils that are flailing left and right.
Yeah, y'all been flapping gums.
We are going to play a little bit of game, so start and sit, but you sit right there. We'll come right back. As much as I let that theme song run off, we actually got to get back off of break.
No, we don't. Keep the song
Here we are
playing.
clucking like hens. Welcome back to the other side of the
Ayo!
Four Horsemen fans.
Bing bong.
Really quickly, we just gave you the best matchups for the fantasy playoffs. We're not going to go in depth to the worst matchups, but I just have to warn people. Chuba Hubbard is a popular ad because Christian McCaffrey just got hurt. I know Jack got somebody that he likes better than Chuba. I don't like Chuba at all. I had Chuba. Here's why I'm going to stay away from Chuba. The Carolina Panthers can't score. That Cam Newton story was great for a week. Back to reality.
I'm back.
But
I think he was saying bad.
He's just like, I was on the couch for a couple weeks for a reason. Listen, I think he's perfect for them, but I think the team's just falling apart. They're throwing in the towel. McCaffrey, made of glass, like I said.
Matt Rule is also a meh coach, to be honest.
Nah, I don't think he's in any danger of getting.
No, he's not going to get fired. It's
or
just his
anything
play
like that,
calling has
but
been a little questionable.
I think Joe Brady's an okay OC.
Yeah,
but the Sam Darnold experiment just
didn't
It
work
blew
out.
up in their face.
Yeah.
But they're playing Buffalo week 15. They're playing Tampa Bay week 16. They're playing New
God.
Orleans week 17.
Jesus Christ.
Do not pick up the Clint.
Yeah.
Don't make it. Let him be somebody else's problem. Because I'm looking at his projections for the week. He's only met his projections twice.
Yeah.
What makes you think he's going to be a league winner? I don't see it.
His highest RB finish is RB 19. He is playing Atlanta in week 14, and they're obviously a good matchup. The one thing I will say, and this is really deep, but I really like Amir Abdullah as a pickup potentially. And the reason is because he has seen 4 targets in 4 of his last 5 games, and I think the Panthers are going to be playing from behind quite a lot. And if he's picking up those PPR points and he's catching all 4 of his targets and he's getting a little bit more of the ball there, then maybe you can play him. I really don't think he's going to be a league winner, but I'm just spouting something that could potentially happen with Amir Abdullah.
He could be a good flex.
Yeah, potentially. We'll see.
It's not terrible.
So, I think we usually like to keep it light on the back end of the podcast. Let's go ahead and get a little Spanish Flea going on. This is such a funky song. It is time, ladies and gentlemen. Come on down to Sit or Start. We got to get some production there. I can't just keep making this game
Where's
voice
the
up.
applause button, damn it? Let's go, I got on the first try.
All right, so our contestants are Gil, Jack, Nick. The prizes do not exist. So there's no consequences that we need to worry about.
I'm out of here. Y'all suck.
Arbitrary points. I will penalize people for
Like our fantasy league, just for the glory.
Oh yeah, no. So I'm just simply better than everybody here. I'm kidding.
All right, so I'm still on the waiver wire subject. I want to look at receivers at first to see who I'm gonna pick up, who's gonna help for bye weeks or stuff like that. So,
Okay.
Start or sit against. I had his information right over here. Start or sit against the Panthers. Russell Gage of the Atlanta Falcons currently owns 17% of Yahoo leagues. His last performance that was decent, Jacksonville, he scored 15 points. Do you start him against the the pass funnel defense of Tampa Bay, where you know Atlanta's going to be down?
No. And I simply because there's other targets in Atlanta that are just gonna get everything. And it's like, it's that simple. When Cordero Patterson is on the field, he gets the ball. Kyle Pitts, maybe a look or two. He's serviceable.
Yeah.
I wouldn't touch Russell Gage. I would not touch Russell Gage.
I would start him. Yep. I
Really?
would. Yeah, I would. The reason is because Cordero Patterson's going to get his regardless. I don't think that affects Gage at all. And Kyle Pitts is going to be completely the man that everyone is marking in that offense. And Russell Gage gets targets. Like, I think the least he's seen is 6. I think he had 6 for 62 and a score this week. So, like, he's... I feel like it's like, as you said, let's be realistic. Mike Davis is doing nothing. Like, he's not going to get anything on the ground.
Oh, no.
What a terrible sign.
Honestly, I know. Don't get me started. Cordero Patterson is... He had a great game on the ground last time, but I think where they're going to utilize him will be through the air. But I think that's what teams are going to be looking at. They're going to be looking at Cordero, they're going to be looking at Kyle Pitts, and Russell Gage might get loose here and there. I think I could see him scoring a touchdown maybe or something, but I think I'd start him in a deeper league potentially.
What say Nick?
I mean, I loved his 2 weeks before that. What? He had 8 targets, then 7 targets, and he looked like he was double-digit points, weeks 11, week 12.
There has been games where he's gotten targets
Yeah.
and done nothing.
But then 0 targets last week?
I think there was a game where he got three or four targets and
Yeah.
came down.
Oh, whatever
No,
it was?
Last week he didn't.
No.
No, it was against Jacksonville. He had a
What
good
do we? Oh, whatever. Actually, against Carolina, he had 0 targets in week 8.
He didn't play that game, Nicholas.
That's why, then.
That's why he didn't. Tell me if you're going to start or you're going to sit him, Nick.
All right, you know what? Start this man.
Let's go.
Start him.
All right,
could do better.
For whoever said start Russell Gage, 1 point.
So-
1 point, Jack. 1 point, Nick.
Unbelievable.
0. Matter of fact, -1. -1 for Gil.
Unbelievable.
All right, because this is a starter sit. But who am I starting or sitting? No, I'm joking. It's starter sit. Starter sit, playing against the Kansas City Chiefs for the Oakland Raiders. Wide receiver Deshaun Jackson. Would you start? or
I was really
sit
hoping you were going to say
Deshaun
Hunter
Jackson?
Renfro just because, but like no.
Dude, Renfro's been the man.
Renfro's a baller, bro. That man's elite.
It's difficult
him.
because of the huge touchdown he scored in prime time. And like, if people do actually own Deshaun, like you'd be tempted to play him again because of that big playability. He went to the Raiders. He went there because he wanted to get the ball. That's what he was not getting in LA. So, he had 3 catches, I think, for 100 yards and a touchdown or whatever last week of 4 targets. And like the Kansas City are a bit of a pass funnel defense as well, aren't they? So, like, what are we talking here, Carlos?
could
Are we
be a
talking-
shootout.
Are we talking in like in a deeper league? Yeah, like in a 10-man, I'd never start him. Because,
No, for sure.
But like,
let's
you know
say
what I mean?
let's say we're in a 12-man league.
I mean, yeah, I'd start him
consider it.
over certain options. I'd like to get some
Yeah.
options maybe like around that like kind of like standard, but
I'm not starting him, but just a really quick side note. Is Hunter Renfro becoming the next Cooper Kupp next year?
I don't know
I
about
feel like
that.
that'd be
That's a scorching take.
that would be an interesting conversation to
That's
have.
not gonna happen, but he's gonna be pretty good.
I think he's going to be great next season. I think he'd be somewhere.
He's the wide receiver 10 over the last 4 weeks.
That's what I'm saying. Like, he's been on fire.
Yeah.
Oh no, his route running is elite.
love it.
Okay, so in the
Deshaun Jackson category.
For Deshaun Jackson, I'm gonna. You said 12 man, right?
Yeah, let's go 12 man.
I'd flex him. So I guess yeah.
That's a start, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so that's a flex.
I'd start him.
No.
I don't think you will because you hate Deshaun Jackson.
Oh.
That's only for Nick. I hate Deshaun Jackson. I will
The
never.
I agree with Jack, and it's wrong.
I will never
Forget that he's an Eagles.
I will never
an Eagles
start
hater.
Deshaun Jackson. No, not even because of that. Because he's the old Tyler Lockett. It's feast or famine. And yes, I hate him because he was an Eagle. But no, I'm not going to trust Deshaun Jackson to win me any week. I'm better off trusting a Baltimore Ravens wide receiver, and we just saw how that worked out for me yesterday or Sunday. So no, do yourselves a favor. Let him be somebody else's problem. If he goes off for 30 points, great, because he's going to go off for -2 when he fumbles the ball and gets no catches the week after that.
Yeah, but we were asking for this week, Karlos.
-5 points for both of you.
Perfect.
+5 for Nick. All right.
Yeah.
Looking forward a little bit.
Put in the horse. Though. Very close.
Looking ahead a little bit, because this next player is on a bye week this week. But I'm looking for depth, maybe to see if somebody is still in concussion protocol or somebody else gets hurt. I'm looking at Dontrell Hilliard for the Tennessee Titans. When they come off of the bye, week 14, they're playing the Jacksonville Jaguars. Start or sit Dontrell Hilliard.
So I think the issue here has been that Jerry McNichols has been out with a concussion. And I think that has obviously really increased what Hilliard's done. But I really like him. He's looked really explosive when he's been on the field. I think he's looked good. I will start him as long as Jerry McNichols is out. That's a huge factor for me. So I will say start right now, but it's completely dependent on Jerry McNichols' status.
And Peterson was also dropped off of waivers as well. So he's
Real life waivers.
yeah, real life.
Yeah.
So there's not too many as many options over there
It's
in Tennessee.
Deontay Foreman.
And he's had some
Hilliard,
carries, but I think Dontrell's looked much better and has gotten more reception. So I'm starting Dontrell.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start him too. They explained it pretty well.
He had
I think
8 catches for 80 yards.
Yeah, wow. Impressive.
Yeah, let's go.
3 applauses because I will start Hilliard. I actually am going to try to pick him up this week. I'll stash him
I
for the
swear
bye.
Gil just put a claim in just then for him.
Yep.
Yeah?
Goddamn right I did.
I just watched Gil get super serious, and I don't like looking at people's phone. I had a little glance. I was like, what's the fantasy app?
In our league?
No. This is.
We've seen the
great.
recipe for disaster
that's
for
awesome.
Tennessee. Tannehill cannot throw 40 to 50 times a game.
No, I can't.
Julio Jones, the glorified decoy. I
Julio
am a
Jones.
genius. AJ Brown is on IR. Westbrook / Ikeen, I can't even pronounce his name because he hasn't been worth starting.
You're talking about Julio
He's
Jones
hurt
and
too,
AJ
Julio.
Brown.
Julio Jones. My
AJ
favorite
Brown.
one. My favorite one is not the Titans, but somebody said clay poop one time, and I couldn't breathe.
Don't chase the clay poop.
Oh, it is funny. Clay Poop got completely pooped on by Tomlin because he wanted music at practice, and Tomlin was just like, "Yeah, why don't you let me worry about that? You run routes."
Yeah.
I'm good with picking up Hilliard just because Tannehill can't throw 4 picks a game anymore. You know, they got to go back to a running style. And yes, I know Henry completely changes the offense, but run with somebody.
Right.
Hilliard didn't look that bad.
No, he looked pretty good.
No, he's looked
Listen,
great.
there are undrafted running backs who have come in one league, so why not Hilliard? Why not? Why not? So
Wasn't he with the Bengals before?
I have no idea.
I think he was.
He's looking it up.
I'm gonna veto myself.
Statman. All right. I think the last one's going to be a dead giveaway.
Oh, he's with the Browns. Sorry.
But we'll see. Start or sit for the New Orleans Saints quarterback Taysom Hill. Go.
12 man, right?
I want
12 man?
Nick to go first.
Yes, 12 man.
12 man. And who are they facing again?
I'll give you the schedule. Why not? They're facing the Cowboys this Thursday.
Yes.
So that's
Okay.
a short turnaround. I don't know if I like that. Maybe I'm tipping my hand a little bit. But Then you got the Jets, you got Tampa Bay, you got the Dolphins, and you got the Panthers.
But aren't we just doing start sit for just
I'm
the
thinking
next
just
week?
this week.
Just this week. For this week, I'm saying no, but for next week's, I think he would be worth a start.
I'm gonna agree with Nick because unless this was a draft pick, like if I had to start Lamar Jackson against the Dolphins that played on a Thursday, then yes. But I'm very anti-starting anybody that's not your flex on Thursday.
Yeah.
Because God forbid something happens.
You already lost your week.
How many points is this worth?
Does it matter?
Yeah, it does, because I'm behind quite a lot right now.
Hey, I'm behind quite a
I'm
lot.
going to go with start. Start him. I said it on the start of the show. Start him.
Karlos definitely said start him.
Yeah.
I am quarterback desperate.
Of course you are. Of course you are.
You literally said, Jack, you might convince me.
I
know.
need somebody to pop off for me. And every time Taysom Hill started last year, he was QB 15 or higher.
Kirby 12 or higher.
Did you say Kirby 12?
Kirby 12.
Kirby All-Stars, that pink jiggly ball.
He was curvy.
Oh my God, my man's been out a week and this happens? God damn.
No, I'm all in on Hill because I'm a Kamara owner. So if you're gonna vulture touchdowns, at least let me be the benefit and fit in fantasy. Someone's gonna score, whether it's gonna be Hill or Kamara.
Okay.
And you ask about points. This was plus 100 points for getting it right. You two, because I tipped my hand earlier, that I said it could be swayed, and you could have fought for my affection. You decided to go the other way. So negative 400 points for each of you.
I won all
You
3
lose,
rounds. What the hell is
and
this?
you lost on the most important one. Taysom Hill is absolutely
Yo, I'm
a
dropping it.
start.
Oh, okay. Yo, this. Dropping it, boys.
Oh man, I'm sick of this. I'm sick of y'all. I'm sick of y'all already.
Well, that was a hell of a lot of fun. I think we'll just end off on that note, and whoever's doing post-production, God bless. Yeah,
Grab
gotta
that
go ahead
one.
and-
That'll be me this week. That will be me. I promise, Gil, it'll be me.
For Jack Hopkins, for Gil Benhamu, for Nick Arfar Romeo, who just keeps cursing, I am Karlos with a K Ortiz. That is another episode of the Four Horsemen podcast. We are.
Follow us on Instagram. Our Instagram is the number 4 Horsemen.
All right, get out of here.
See you later, you bozos.
Bing bong.